welcome back, everyone. NicknLex here. Thank you so much for joining me to another episode of Music with Nick. Today we got a marathon lined up of great guitar players. This is sponsored by Eagles Rule. Thank you so much for your support and all the interesting music you've brought to the channel. I love it, and wanted to give you a shout out here also because there is a title. This is called Guitar Greats Marathon, and there is already some that I do recognize, like David Gilmour, of course, from Pink Floyd, Stephen Stills. I've just gotten into him a little bit. I just pulled up a little bit here about him, of course. Buffalo Springfield, Crosby, Still, Nash and Young, and Manassas. But I mean, this is from him alone. Also j.j.cale, I'm familiar with him. Roy Buchanan, I've done I think 1 or 2 reactions, and but I'm gonna give you a breakdown here of what we're gonna do in what order. So we're gonna start with Stephen Stills. We're gonna do go back home from Stephen Stills. This looks like almost like a debut of a solo, album. This is from 1970. Then Frank Zappa and the Mothers. This is 50-50. I've seen some Frank Zappa, of course. I've heard some Frank Zappa. I'm not like super well versed on Frank Zappa. I know he has like over 70 or 80 albums. This is from 73. This is from one Overnight Sensation. Then j.j.cale, I think he's the one that composed Cocaine, and there's some stuff that my dad used to listen to, so I would kind of like stick my head into the room and ask, who's that? And then he's like, j.j.cale. So he was a big fan of him. This is Artificial Paradise by j.j.cale. This is his album called Number 10, 1992. Then Roy Buchanan, I Am Ram. This is I'm not familiar with this album, but I have reacted to the man. 1974 in the Beginning. And then David Gilmour from his first, I heard that this is between, it was recorded between Animals and Dark Side of the Moon, 1978. David Gilmour. I actually wanted to do this with Alexia, but hey, it's all good. Cry from the Street. Let's see. That's the one that we're going to do. I mean, I was going to do I said to Alexia, hey, let's do a reaction to David Gilmour, to his first solo album, but I guess it never happened. So, but that's the one. That's what we're going to do today. Thanks again, Eagles Rule, and I'll see you in a second. All right, and here we go with the first track. Hope you enjoy, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, for liking the video, for subscribing if possible, if you really like what you see, and just for being such good sports in the comment section, always requesting good stuff, or just telling your story when you first heard this music. And it's very interesting. It's been a ride, really, a really, really cool experience, this whole thing, and it's just so cool because the learning process never ends. There's never enough. I mean, there's never an end to music. Every day there's thousands of tracks that get made. It's maybe not the best music, but there's some good stuff that still gets made even today, or yesterday, or the last week. There's some good musicians out there, older, younger. So there's still hope for great music. But the cool thing is we can go back and listen to all these classics, and that's what we're doing. So let's give it up for Go Back Home by Stephen Stills. Here we go. Nice cry, baby.
Think I'll go back home. Think I'll go back home. Think I'll Nothing funny, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing funny here, child. No, there ain't nothing funny here. People trapped out there, and you can't get near. Live with you, I found. Live with you, I found, child. Live with you, I found. I was by myself. I was someone else. Babe, come home with me. Babe, come home with me.
Yeah.
Babe, come home with me. Can I make you see? Yes, I'm gonna set you free. When I woke up this morning, I found that I was alone again. And I called your number. They told me that no one heard again. Baby, what does it mean? Is it like it seems?
So good. So good. I loved how it sounded very low. I was always almost like something wrong with my setup, but it's just that low. The way he started on that guitar with the wah, and I love that the drum and the bass were just giving him the right amount of like, you know, that, I don't know, that groove, it was like a vamp because it was just two chords. And I love how he was just bending and really playing with a lot of feel. And his great singing as well. The whole package. It's just a great, you can just feel he's like a master musician. And then I love now that then it kind of like expanded the whole thing into three chords. And then the guitar came in with a little bit more distortion. And it kind of changed up the whole thing. Beautifully done, man. So good, these guys. And in 1970. See, there's always something to learn, especially with this music, like a metal guy like me. I kind of like, with this kind of music, I learned how to slow down, how to, play with, not that I didn't know how to play with feel, but it's just more enjoyable, when you're young, you just want to play fast and stuff like that. And I think it's very cool to be able to play fast. And I think the most important thing about playing is playing clean. If you play fast, I think anyone can play fast, but not everyone can play clean and fast. That's the key, because if you play all choppy and stuff, even if you play 100 notes per second, it's going to sound like like crap. So that's very important to get that really clean tone and just clean playing and picking your legato, everything matches. But let's go back. Interesting chord changes here and tempos. Yeah. Ooh, that was beautiful. That reiki, you know, when you rake into the strings, into the chord. It's almost like you're playing an arpeggio, like a broken down chord into arpeggiated, you know, like beautiful. I think we're gonna hear that from David Gilmour. David Gilmour for me was the player where I learned how to play clean, you know, doing those bends, being very, very precise in the pitch. When you bend the string, then you have to be careful not to overbend or under, you know, because then it sounds like crapola. You have to be very, very precise, very careful. You need a lot of calluses. Not anymore, but when I remember when I learned Pink Floyd solos, you have to be very, very precise. And he overbends. He's like, you know, he does that a lot. And also you can break your strings, but with time you learn not to do that either, you know. And especially when you use thin strings like I do. I use 0.9s, and I know. But there's players that use 0.8s, you know, don't judge. I know it's not as thick of a sound, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think he plays 10s. 10 would be the thickness of the E string, the low E string, the high E string, you know. Okay. Frank Zappa in the house. So I've heard some Frank Zappa, and Frank Zappa had a very particular style. I think he would just have these master musicians play along with him. He had like Jean-Luc Ponty, and then Terry Bozzio, and then I don't know, like Steve Stevens. I don't know, but he himself as a guitarist, I don't think was very. I don't know. He was a great composer, but technically speaking, I don't think he was very technical. But I've only seen him a couple of times on video, like for example in RG's marathons. But hey, I don't really know. So let's hear it. 50-50. This is from Frank Zappa and the Mothers. 73. Let's see what madness he comes up with. That's what I love about him, that he's so unique. Here you go.
Well, my dandruff is blue.
back to the solo. This is literally what we came here for. But I do want to like, okay, so Frank is not singing. I thought he was singing but the wah, that stuff. So Frank Zappa, guitar and vocals, except tracks 50-50 and Zombie. But here, look, we have let's see, Ruth Underwood on percussion, marimbas and vibraphone, Jean-Luc Ponty on violin, baritone violin, George Duke, man, wow, on synthesizer and keyboards, Tom Fowler on bass, Ralph Humphrey on drums, and Tina Turner even is on this album. But man, this is just amazing. But here, let's go back and listen to the guitar solo. Sounds so good. This is very fusion. I love it. It's jazz fusion. I don't know, it's like a mix between Frank Zappa has a very weird, it's sometimes like jazz fusion, but sometimes it's very proggy. I think most of his players are jazz fusion players, but Jean-Luc Ponty, George Duke, and Ruth, but it does sound, I guess, proggy as well. I don't know, I could be wrong, but let's listen to the guitar solo now. Okay, so that is exactly what I was talking about. That was the prime example of guitar playing being fast, but very, very, very dirty. Like, it was just choppy. I hate to do this, and I know there's a lot of Frank Zappa fans out there, but the man is still a genius, but he doesn't play clean guitar. I have to be honest. I'm not gonna praise something that but that's just if you guys like choppy guitar, and then that's you. But me personally, I can't. I just listen to players that are so freaking clean, and it takes so much time to get to that point. So I really appreciate that. So when I hear somebody playing like this, it's like, it's still great, but it's like, it just like doesn't sound that he put in the hours and the effort, but he's still a genius. And when it comes to composition, I don't think he's a very good guitar player. I have to be honest, and that's, I played many, many, many years to become the guitar player that I am. So that's why I get a little bit picky. Okay, let's continue.
Oh, ain't no great revelation, but it wasn't too long, and that's alright, people. I'm just crazy enough to sing to you, Ellie. Oh, I figure the odds be 50-50. I'll just might have something to say.
So good. I mean, Frank Zappa is just, it's so, when it comes to composition and ideas, it's so refreshing. It's so good. Like, I mean, everything that I hear from him is just freaking insane. But yeah, just that point, that I made. But I mean, I could be wrong. Um, because that's my point of view, that's my reaction to it. I mean, if you listen to guys like, I don't know, like like Aldi Meola, like, come on. I mean, it's so freaking precise, it's so clean, and it's so fast as well. McLaughlin, um Garstead, Holdsworth, Coriel, Carlton. There's so many guys that play freaking so fast, but it's, it has to sound also clean, because then you're not really hitting the notes. It's just speed. It's just picking. I could make a video on it, but let's move on. That was a great tune. I loved it. Um, I love Jean-Luc Ponty's playing. I love the whole thing as a whole is just fantastic. j.j.cale, Artificial Paradise. Let's see. Well, he's more, what I've heard is more like acoustic guitar. Let's see if he plays some electric here. Let's go.
Many loves in a lifetime, they seem to go astray. Many people come and go, they never seem to stay. Sometimes I kid myself, then I realize I'm just living in an artificial paradise. So wise, I'm just living in an artificial paradise. State of mind.
Oh my god, this guy. Oh shit. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I mean, his tone on the guitar, the lines he's playing. He's not just playing the pentatonic scale, he's playing outside. I love the whole bum 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 bum. Like, has a little bit of a bossa nova thing going on. And I've never really heard him play like more jazzier, I've always heard him, I think, playing more acoustic. I think my dad was listening to more, at that time there was no internet, I think, or it was very limited access, and you couldn't, like, I think there was no YouTube. That's the problem. So it was like pre 2004, I think. And I think the CD that he had was more like acoustic, beautiful voice, deeper. I think he's younger here, but what a beautiful electric guitar. Man, it reminds me of Mark Knopfler. Also the singing, Dire Straits. I love Dire Straits. Dire Straits, the first album, I know it inside out. Every single note is just beautiful. Also, the example of clean as a whistle, the playing is just amazing. Even the fast parts, like Mark Knopfler, another perfectionist in that regard. Like, I love his singing. You know, he always sounds kind of like drunk. I love that about Mark Knopfler, but it's just his voice. It's like, you know, j.j.cale sounds more like lucid, I think. But I think it's all on purpose. You know, Mark Knopfler, that's just his way of singing. But beautiful. This was giving me chills. The way he was phrasing. Oh man, great.
Official glow, living in a vacuum, close to zero. Sometimes I kid myself when I realize I'm just living in an artificial paradise.
Man, what a great freaking tune. I loved this. Thank you so much, Eagles. This was one of the best tunes I've heard in a while. You know, with guitar being in the front and center, but also great lyrics, great feel. Just what a good tune. Like, can't believe it. Okay. Roy Buchanan, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. In the beginning, I'm a ram. I'm a ram. There we go.
Drive on until I get there. I'ma drive on until I get there. 'Cause I'm a ram, yes I am. I know just what to do. 'Cause I'm a ram, yes I am. To get next to you. Oh, 'cause I'm a ram, baby. Oh, you bet your life you lose. Oh, 'cause I'm a ram, baby. Oh, no, to get next to you. Ooh, well, to drive on until I get there. Ooh, drive on until I get there. Yeah, 'cause I'm a ram, yes indeed. That's as stubborn as I can be. Come on, baby.
what that bass line is so good. I mean, the whole thing, his guitar playing is great. I love his voice. I mean, with that voice, you basically be like, hey, you know, I'll somebody else play the guitar, you know, with a voice like that. You basically you got it, you know, you got it made. But the whole thing is great, and his guitar playing is good. Also very fast, but with little bit more precision there. I did enjoy that. Very flashy for that time. Like, let's see, 1974. Well, okay, people were starting to shred. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure they were shredding before, but very cool.
Drive on until I get there. Oh, I got to drive on until I get there. Well, now there's a ram out in the bush, and it needs to be free. Oh, but can't you come on, baby, come on and see about me. Oh, baby, I'm a ram now. Oh, you got to like me. Ooh. There's a ram in the bush. Oh, you better like me.
Very good. Awesome. Very good. Like the whole like horn section was great. The bass stole the show. The boom 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 boom. But no, great guitar playing, great singing, just overall great stuff. Now, this is the track I've been waiting for. I've never heard David Gilmour as a solo artist. I thought his first album was the one that somebody sent us about Face. So when I discovered this, and then I was like, and then the person who told me about this album some weeks ago was like, oh yeah, this was recorded between Animals, which is my favorite Pink Floyd album, and Dark Side of the Moon. I'm like, holy okay, this must be good. So here we go. Wait a minute. Animals came out, no, The Wall. Dark Side of the Moon is before. Animals came out 77. So yeah, this is after Animals and before The Wall, which came out, I think, 79, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, right in the middle, 78. Okay, so we're going to play Cry from the Street. Let's see, David Gilmour, one of my top 5 guitar players in the world for me. He is my guru. He is my, like, the way he improvises without using too much, like, I guess, I don't know, his solos are just so good. I mean, if you hear Comfortably Numb, that solo was a one take, you know, he played it once and that's it. That's the one they used. So that's, for me, improvisation max at a great, I mean, I'm not going to get into fusion plays because I don't want to compare him with that. He's not a fusion player. He's a rock guitarist. But from the rock guitarists of that era, I think he is my main guy. So let's go. Wow. Yes, I've never heard him play like this, like doing these power chords, these fourths. Because in Pink Floyd, there's always something backing up. Like I don't know if this is Richard Wright, but it sounds that Hammond is always backing him up. So this I've never heard him do that in Pink Floyd. I think there is some heavier tunes with distortion, like in The Flash, and I don't know. There's some stuff, but usually he's very quiet on the guitar, very always very, a lot of delay, a lot of chords, but not a lot of, I don't hear that very often. So, but now when he started, every time there was like this, some kind of chorus, it would be, covered up with really nice chords from a keyboard. And this is like the Hammond sound, which is like, oh man, it's so good. This is gonna be like my Pink Floyd fix, my new Pink Floyd fix, because it does sound, I mean, David Gilmour has such a sweet voice. It's very sweet, very soft, and it's just so good. That's why I love Pink Floyd so much. All of the boys, they're no discredit to Roger Waters. He's a master lyricist, master writer, great bass player as well. But Gilmour is just, a cherry on top of Pink Floyd.
It's the sign
What a great song. I'm just looking up who was on this with him, because I heard, of course, that Roger got really pissed. So he's doing the electric guitars, the vocals, acoustic guitars, keyboards, piano, and the harmonica. The bass guitars, Rick Willis, and drums, Willie Wilson. So he even played the chords on that Roland. Man, this was great. So good. Sorry. Man, this was great. Thank you so much, Eagles. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, for me, David Gilmour is just one of my heroes, and but all of them, Stephen Stills was a great track. Frank Zappa, great track. I just love the whole, like, Zappa is so bizarre and so inventive, it's so different from everything else. j.j.cale was that and Gilmour were my favorite tracks. j.j.cale's guitar was just so warm, and man, those licks, the phrasing was just amazing. Then Ray Buchanan, very, very good, very fun tune. I'm a Ram, like the lyrics were very random, very random. But David Gilmour like killed it, man. It seemed like a track from like something heavier. Like I think Animals was a bit heavier, like Sheep, like songs like Sheep, and then The Wall. I mean, has Young Lust and Run Like Hell. They're not super heavy, but there's some really, really mellow stuff on The Wall. But then like, yeah, in The Flash, it's an opener like bow 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 bow, it's so good. But yeah, that solo on Happiest Days of Our Lives, man, like that solo, I guess all the solos, every solo I've ever heard by David Gilmour, especially on Pink Floyd, are just amazing. Like they're so full of feeling, and they're so good, and so fantastic. What a fantastic player. But yeah, thank you so much again, everybody, for watching the marathon. I hope you did enjoy. Let me know what you think. Who's your favorite guitar player on this list? What style do you enjoy? Do you style the jazz more, or the blues, or rock, or straight up, metal, or whatever? I mean, you come from all walks of life, and all walks of everybody has their different, taste, So some people might say, oh, you know what, David Gilmour is boring, man. I didn't like it at all. For me, the one who kills it was, Stephen Stills or Zappa, So we're always gonna agree and disagree in these things. So, but let's keep it positive, and let's have fun. That's the most important thing. Let's have fun with it. Thank you so much, Eagles, for this amazing marathon. I do appreciate it super, super much. I hope you have a lot of fun with the channel and everybody else. Like I said, there's all these things that you can do. You can like the video, you can dislike the video, you can subscribe. You can subscribe for our Dan membership, La Familia membership, which is basically you get all the content that's blocked on YouTube plus 30 full albums. We do all sorts of stuff: Alan Parsons, Pink Floyd, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Rush, all that good stuff is on the Patreon, because it does get blocked from YouTube, and YouTube is just putting down their foot, and they don't care, if our channel gets taken down. So we rather have all that stuff on Patreon. And yes, there's a little subscription fee, but I mean, it's a lot of work that we put into that channel, the Patreon. So if you want to be part of that, you can do that as well. There's still 2 slots to be a Dan member, which is you originally going to be a Don. We wanted to do like the whole mafia thing, but then we didn't want to go too far with it, you know, La Familia, The Dawn. So we said The Dan. We love Steely Dan. So there's still 2 slots available. If you're interested, you can still sign up. You get 1 guaranteed song and all the blocked stuff and all the full albums and all that stuff. And we're adding 2 every month to the catalog, so you have all those unblocked. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.